What if the key to manifesting your deepest desires isn't some new age secret, but an ancient code hidden in plain sight within the very fabric of creation? Prepare to unlock the I Am formula, a powerful declaration Jesus used to manifest reality, directly rooted in Genesis's original design. This isn't just a spiritual concept, it's a precise vibrational frequency you can learn to harness for unstoppable co-creation and abundance. We're talking about flipping the script. This ain't about begging some far-off God to maybe throw you a bone. Nah, this is about realizing you're hooked up to the mainframe. That I am, you say when you talk about yourself? That ain't just words. That's the sacred name. That's the ignition switch. Every time Jesus said, I am, the light, the way, the truth, he wasn't just describing himself. He was punching in the code. He was locking into the infinite substance and letting it flow. So here's the raw deal. Your I am is your point of origin. Before you tack on I am broke, I am sick, I am stuck. Stop. That I am in its pure state. That's the unlimited power source. Manifestation doesn't start with hustling for stuff. It starts in the silence, claiming your identity as the source. When you get that, I mean really get it in your bones, you become a lightning rod for the impossible. The supply isn't coming to you. It's flowing from you, through you, as you. But here's the kicker, the real mic drop that even most spiritual folks miss. What if the whole physical world, with all its lack and limits, is just the effect, and your conscious I am is the only true cause? What does that change right here, right now for you? Don't just let this sit. If this hit different, if it sparked something, do something about it. Smash that like button, drop a 888 in the comments, that number of infinite flow, and subscribe. Because we're not just scratching the surface here. We're going deep, and this is just the beginning. You in? Now, let's get straight into the first cornerstone, the bedrock of this whole thing. The I am is your power source, not your personality. See, we go through life using I am like it's a name tag. I am a teacher. I am tired. I am stressed about money. We think we're just describing our current situation, our job, our mood. But we're not just describing. We're programming. We're wiring ourselves directly into a limited circuit, a small story, and then we wonder why the lights are dim. Goldsmith would cut through that noise. He'd tell you to get ruthlessly quiet and listen to yourself. That you keep referring to, that sense of being. That awareness reading these words right now, that is not the bundle of thoughts, memories, and bank statements you've been calling. That's the personality. The costume you're wearing for this lifetime, it's temporary. It's always shifting. But the I, that is aware of the costume. That's eternal. That's the thing that was there before the first thought you can remember and will be there after the last one. Jesus knew this on a level that blows our modern mind. When he said, before Abraham was I am, he wasn't giving a history lesson. He was pointing to the timeless, spaceless, formless awareness that he identified as his true self. He wasn't saying the man named Jesus existed before Abraham. He was saying, the very essence of I am, the pure consciousness that I am one with, is prior to all time, all form, all story. He was locating his identity not in the human character, but in the divine author. So your I am in its pure state, before you hook any adjective to it, is the sacred name. It's the creative fiat. In the Genesis code, God doesn't say, let there be light, as a hopeful suggestion from the outside. The statement is the creation. I am is that kind of statement. When you say I am, in the silence of your being, with no other words attached, you are speaking from the throne of creation. You are announcing your presence as the presence. The problem, the only problem, is that we've handed over this nuclear-powered creative authority to the personality. We let the personality, with all its fears, its past hurts, its societal conditioning, sit in the driver's seat and use the I am, so it declares, I am not enough, I am a victim, I am unlucky, and then it wonders why reality mirrors back a world of lack, injustice, and bad breaks. It's using God's own creative word to build its own prison. This is the pivot. This is the reprogramming. Unhooking your sense of I from the shaky, temporary personality and re-anchoring it in the boundless, unchanging awareness that is your true nature. When you do that, everything changes. You stop saying, I am sick, and instead, from that deeper place you might feel a sensation in the body. But your fundamental I is untouched wholeness. You stop declaring, I am broke, and instead, from that ground of being, you acknowledge a current financial picture. But your core identity is infinite supply itself. The personality experiences conditions. The I am is the conditioner. The personality lives in the effect. The I am is the cause, so the work is interior surgery. It's a moment-by-moment choice. Am I speaking from the small, story-bound self, or am I abiding as the vast, creative I am? When a thought of lack arises, you don't fight it from the personality's level. You witness it. You see it as an object in your awareness, and in that seeing you reaffirm, I am not that thought. I am the awareness aware of the thought. That simple shift in identification is the most powerful act of manifestation you will ever perform. It moves you from being a beggar in the universe to being the source of the universe's flow. The pipeline isn't clogged because the pipeline is your own misidentification. Clean the lens, and the light pours through unbounded. This brings us, naturally, to the second point, which is where most of us get the whole thing backwards. Manifestation starts in the silence, not the hustle. Our entire culture is built on the hustle, the grind, the 5-year plan, the vision board backed by relentless action. And look, that's not wrong. In the conventional sense, it gets things moving in the world of effect. But from the standpoint of the Genesis code, it's putting the cart about 10 miles before the horse. It's trying to create from the noise of the personality's desires, which is like trying to hear a single, pure note while standing in the middle of a roaring heavy metal concert. You're just adding more noise to the noise. Joel Goldsmith was adamant about this. He called the silence the center of your being, the kingdom within. It's not just the absence of sound. It's a palpable, living presence. It's the vibrational field of pure I am before it takes on any shape. Think of it as the blank screen before the movie starts, the raw, uncarved block of marble before the sculptor touches it. Every single thing that appears in form must first exist here, in this unformed, infinite potential. Jesus didn't look at the 5 loaves and 2 fish and start hustling, trying to physically stretch them. He looked up to heaven, he turned his consciousness inward to the source, and gave thanks. That act of thanksgiving wasn't polite gratitude, it was a recognition of knowing, of the infinite substance already present. The silence, the thanksgiving, was the creative act. The multiplication was just the visible, lagging effect. Your hustle is the personality's attempt to wrestle a result from a universe it perceives as separate and often withholding. It's rooted in the belief that you are not already whole, that you lack, and therefore you must struggle to acquire. But the silence is where you remember you are none of that. In the silence, you aren't a person with a problem to solve. You are the very consciousness in which the concept of a problem is floating. From that position of already, complete, being what is there to hustle for, the need for frantic action falls away, replaced by a sense of divine ordination, what Goldsmith often called compulsion. This is the hardest pill for the achiever in us to swallow. The most powerful creative work you will ever do looks like doing nothing. It looks like sitting in a chair, closing your eyes, and consciously withdrawing your identity from the chatter of the mind and the aches of the body. It's in that conscious withdrawal that you re-identify with the I am. You aren't thinking about God in the silence, you are us being the awareness that God is. From that settled, rooted, silent beingness, an entirely different quality of action emerges. It's not frantic, it's guided. It's not about making something happen, it's about allowing what already is in the invisible to flow into visibility. The hustle says, I must build this. The silence knows, It is already established in spirit, and I will be shown the next step. So you want to manifest healing. Don't just frantically affirm, I am well, while panicking about symptoms. Go into the silence and be the wholeness that has no opposite. You want to manifest abundance. Don't just work 3 jobs from a place of anxiety. Go into the silence and be the infinite supply, the open channel. Then, watch what ideas drop in, what opportunities arise, what actions feel light and inspired. Those are the manifestations already cooked in the kitchen of silence, now being served on the plate of your life. The world calls it luck or coincidence. You'll know it as law. And this realization flips the entire script on the 3rd key, which is the ultimate identity upgrade. You don't attract supply, you are the supply point. The whole law of attraction model, while a step in a more conscious direction, is still often practiced from the standpoint of a separated self. It's like you're standing on one side of a great canyon, holding up a sign that says, I want abundance, hoping the universe on the other side will package it up and throw it across to you. You're still the beggar, just a more positive thinking one. You're affirming your lack just prettily. The I am consciousness explodes that model entirely. Think of it this way. The sun doesn't attract light. It is the source of light, and light radiates from it. The ocean doesn't attract wetness. It is the essence of wetness. In the same way, your true nature, that pure I am awareness, is not a point in the universe hoping to get goodies. It is the very substance of the universe itself, localized as your consciousness. You are not a drop in the ocean begging for water. You are the ocean, temporarily experiencing itself as a drop. This isn't poetry. This is physics from a spiritual dimension. The supply, whether we're talking ideas, energy, healing, opportunities, or funds, isn't our thing out there. It is the very fabric of consciousness, and you are a focal point of that consciousness. Joel Goldsmith put it in stark, practical terms. He said you must come to see yourself not as a person seeking a healing, but as the very healing presence itself. Not as a person seeking money, but as the embodiment of the infinite, impartible substance from which all form is coined. When you pray or meditate from this knowing, you are not sending out a request. You are abiding at the source. You are acknowledging, I am not a hole waiting to be filled. I am the wellspring. I am not a channel hoping something good flows through. I am the headwaters. This changes everything about how you move through a world that seems to scream of lack. If you're facing an empty bank account, the old model would have you visualize it full, feel the feelings of wealth, and wait. That can work, to a degree. But the I am formula goes deeper. It asks you, in the face of that empty statement, to go into the silence and know, my conscious awareness of being is the only currency that is real. This I that I am is the mint. The forms it takes are infinite and obedient to my knowing. You stop looking at the world of form for your evidence, and you start producing your evidence from the formless kingdom within. You aren't waiting for a check. You are being the value that a check represents. This is why Jesus could feed the multitudes. He didn't see 5 loaves and a crowd of lack. He saw the omnipresent substance of the Father everywhere, and he knew himself to be one with that substance. He was the supply point. The loaves were just one temporary, localized form that substance was taking. He operated from the cause, not the effect, and the effect rearranged itself accordingly. Your life, your body, your relationships, your finances, these are all effects, temporary forms. To try and fix an effect by manipulating other effects is a game of whack-a-mole. But when you take your stand as the cause, as the supply point itself, the effects must and will reorganize to reflect that higher truth. The pressure isn't on you to make something happen. The pressure is on the universe to reveal what already is in your name. This understanding forces a radical reinterpretation of everything you see, touch, and worry about, leading us directly into the 4th key. The world is effect, your consciousness is cause. This is the grand dismantling of the illusion. We are trained from birth to believe the physical world is the solid, primary reality. Our senses scream that it is. The empty bank account feels solid. The diagnosis feels final. The conflict feels immovable. We then spend our entire lives reacting to this world, trying to manage effects with more effects, new jobs, new medicines, new arguments, all while feeling like we're swimming against a current. The IAM formula says stop swimming. Step out of the river entirely and realize you're the one dreaming the river. Goldsmith called the world of senses the unreal effect. He didn't mean it wasn't an experience. He meant it wasn't the source. It's the picture on the TV screen. Your consciousness is the broadcast signal. You can wipe the screen, bang on the screen, pray to the screen, but until you address the signal, nothing fundamentally changes. All phenomena, your body, your home, your circumstances are projections. They are the end product. They are consciousness, which is cause, filtered through belief, hardened into form. Jesus demonstrated this when he stilled the storm. He didn't negotiate with the wind and waves, which were the raging effects. He spoke to the cause. He addressed the consciousness of peace that was his true nature, and the effect in the outer world had to conform. The storm wasn't out there as a separate power. It was a manifestation of the disciples' collective consciousness of fear. He corrected the cause, and the effect dissolved. Your power, therefore, is never in the manipulation of effects. Your power is in the conscious claiming of your cause, nature. When you look at a problem, out there, you are immediately giving it a reality and a power it does not independently possess. You are making it a cause, and making yourself its effect. This is the great inversion that breeds powerlessness. The I am practice is the re-inversion. It is looking at the challenging condition and, from the depth of your being, declaring, this is an effect. It has no life, intelligence, truth, or substance apart from the consciousness that formed it. And I am not the consciousness of lack, sickness, or conflict. I am the consciousness of omnipresent good. Therefore, this effect is a shadow, and it must yield to the substance of my truth. This is not positive thinking. This is causal thinking. It's the most demanding discipline there is because it calls upon you to deny the apparent reality of your senses and affirm a higher reality you may not yet see with your eyes. It's walking through the world knowing the chair you sit on is less real than the consciousness perceiving it. When you do this, you stop being a victim of circumstances. You become the author of experience. The diagnosis, the debt, the disagreement, they lose their terrifying solidity. They become malleable because you now know they are made of the same stuff as dreams, thought, and belief, conditioned by consciousness. You don't fight the dream. You change the dreamer. You return to the silence, to the pure, I am, and you abide there as cause. And from that sovereign place, you watch as the world of effect, having no choice, begins to rearrange its appearance to match the new signal you are broadcasting. The universe is not resisting you, it is waiting on you, with infinite patience, to finally and consistently claim your rightful seat. This causal position completely revolutionizes our relationship with the divine, which brings us to the fifth and perhaps most liberating key: stop praying to God, realize you're praying from God. Traditional prayer, for all its beauty and comfort, often reinforces the very separation this whole teaching seeks to heal. It paints a picture you down here, small and needy, sending up wishes, praises, or bargains to a God out there, distant and, hopefully, listening. It's a transaction between two separate entities. But the IAM revelation shatters that duality. It reveals that the awareness you call me, the very seat of your being from which even the thought of prayer arises, is not separate from the source you're praying to. The prayer isn't traveling across a gap. It's arising as within the infinite. Goldsmith was relentless on this point. He taught that effective prayer is never an activity of the human personality. It is the activity of the divine within. Ask your awareness. You are not a drop asking the ocean for water. You are the ocean in a moment of self-recognition, stirring itself into a new pattern of expression. When you go into the silence to pray, you are not visiting God. You are collapsing into the God, being that you are. From that place, what is there to ask for? In that union, you realize every perceived need was based on the illusion of separation. You don't ask for supply. You feel yourself as the infinite supply unfolding. You don't beg for healing. You know yourself as incorruptible wholeness shining forth. This is what Jesus meant when he said, "The Father and I are one." He wasn't claiming special exclusive status. He was stating the fundamental truth of all being. He prayed from that oneness, not to it. His prayers were therefore not petitions, but powerful declarations of an already present reality. Lazarus, come forth, wasn't a request sent up a celestial chain of command. It was the cause nature, the I am, one with the Father, speaking the word of life directly into the world of effect, knowing it had to obey. His prayer life was a continuous abiding, a seamless flow from source to manifestation with no sense of a middleman. So how do you practice this? You begin by shifting the posture of your inner approach. You sit down not to talk to a separate ear, but to become still and listen from your source. You let go of the shopping list of desires. Those are the personality's wish list. Instead, you yield. You consent. You say, "Thy will be done," but with the revolutionary knowledge that thy will is not some external plan being imposed upon you. It is the perfect, intelligent, loving impulse of your own deepest being, which is one with the infinite. You are not asking for a different outer condition. You are allowing the inner condition of oneness to express itself, and you trust that expression to take the perfect form. This turns prayer from a sometimes frustrating exercise of hope into a guaranteed creative act. When you pray as from God, as the very activity of God, your prayer is already answered in the moment of its conception, because its conception is in the cause. The manifestation in the world of time and form is then inevitable, a mere detail. The anxiety of, "Is it God's will?" vanishes. You understand you are not aligning God's will with yours. You are surrendering the small, your, to discover it never existed apart from the divine will in the first place. Your very awareness becomes the place where the infinite meets the finite, where the formless takes form. You are not reaching for help. You are being the help. You are the answered prayer, looking for its perfect expression in the world. This brings us to the final piece, the practical engine of it all, the formula. Inward authority creates outward demonstration. We've talked about theory, identity, and posture. But this is where the rubber meets the road. This is the actionable core, the how that moves from beautiful concept to tangible reality. Inward authority is that unshakable, silent knowing born from living in the truths of the previous 5 keys. It's not arrogance. It's not the personality's bluster. It's the quiet, immovable conviction of the I am that has tasted its own nature as cause, as supply, as one with the source. It's the consciousness that no longer seeks permission from the outer world, because it knows the outer world takes its orders from within. Without this inward authority, everything else is just philosophy. You can understand that the world is effect, but if a doctor's report comes and your inner state crumbles into fear, you've given the authority back to the effect. You've dethroned your causal nature. Inward authority is the practice of staying on the throne. It's the conscious moment, by moment choice to feel the feelings of the human scene while knowing, with a deeper certainty, that they are not the truth of you. It is the mastery of saying to the storm, "Peace, be still," not as a hopeful command to the sky, but as a declaration of the atmosphere of your own being. That declaration, rooted in authority, is the creative act. Joel Goldsmith spoke of this as rising in consciousness. You don't change conditions. You change the level of consciousness from which you view them. A problem at one level of awareness is an impossibility at a higher level. Inward authority is that higher level, claimed and inhabited. It's the difference between visualizing $100 while worrying about debt and abiding in the consciousness of infinite substance until the worry is irrelevant and the $100, or a better idea, appears as a natural byproduct. The visualization is the mind's effort. The abiding is the soul's authority. This is the Genesis code in motion. In the beginning of any demonstration, your Genesis moment is the word, but not just any word, the word spoken from inward authority. It's the I am, knowing itself as whole, abundant, or free, and refusing to be argued out of it by contrary evidence. This inner stance creates a vibrational signature, a frequency in consciousness. The universe, which is essentially consciousness in form, has no choice but to match it, to bring forms into alignment with that frequency. The demonstration isn't something you build with your hands. It's something you consent to with your being. The hands will get their instructions later, often in surprisingly inspired ways. So, how do you build this authority? Not by fighting doubts, but by returning incessantly to the silence. Every return is a vote for your core's nature. Every time you feel lack and consciously affirm, I am the supply, you are flexing that authority muscle. It starts small. It might be maintaining a sense of peace during a minor traffic jam instead of succumbing to frustration. That's a demonstration of peace. Each small victory in the inner realm establishes your sovereignty, building a track record for your soul. Then, when the bigger challenges come, you're not trying on a new belief. You're standing on proven ground. You speak your word for health, for harmony, for justice, from that proven ground of quiet power. And you release it, not with the anxiety of hoping, but with the certainty of knowing the law is already in motion. The outer world must and will conform. It has no other option. Your inner kingdom, governed by your I am authority, always manifests its nature outwardly. The only variable is your consistency in occupying the throne.